ya, daddy's home. No, but for real, it says right there. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 49 here on my random horror review series. I am your host, Mood616, and thank you once again for stopping in, guys. Yeah, episode 49 is finally here after roughly a month and a half off from doing the series. Sorry, guys. Just been really busy. Was out of town for a while, and I've been out of town a few times, so sorry, guys. I kind of put this series on the back burner, but I am back with episode 49 here. And I'm very excited about this one because I didn't really know that these films were getting legit releases. Now, there's a series that's been on for years and years. It finally came back after a big hiatus of like 4 or 5 years, and it was the 8 Films to Die For series. Now, those films all premiered, I believe, in October of 2015, and then they released them on, Fox had released them on Made on Demands on Amazon. Now, the films are starting to get legit releases from Anchor Bay, Canada. This is the first one. There's also another one getting an official release on April 26, 2016, which is tomorrow. So, yeah, awesome. But anyways, the film in question right now is called Suspension. Yes, this is one of the 8 Films to Die For from the latest installment of the series. And unfortunately, I never got to see any of them because those films were impossible to find up here in Canada. Oddly enough, this is actually a Canadian slasher film, also known as Dead at Night. I believe this was like the alternate title for it also. But getting into the plot of this one, basically it follows your main character, Emily. Now, Emily is a very reserved, very timid person for various reasons. She has lived a very kind of traumatic life. Her dad was put away for, horrific murderous crimes. She doesn't really have much relationship with her mother, and she also has to take care of her mute brother when her mother's at work during night shift and things like that. So kind of ruins her potential social life at nighttime. The thing with Emily is that she's a really interesting person. She's a very good artist. Now, she's very timid at school and deals with a lot of things, and one of those things happens to be that she gets bullied quite drastically at school. And now how she deals with her anger and these present and past traumas, she basically showcases them on in comic book form. Like I said, she's a very good artist, she's a very interesting person, but she kind of depicts basically what she does is she draws out a slasher film in comic book form, which is kind of an interesting premise, but it kind of adds fuel to the fire because everyone now thinks that she's even more of a freak. Of course, she gets busted during class at the beginning of the film, drawing these things out. Anyways, ultimately, she goes home that night, and her mother has to go to work. She has to watch her mute brother. One of her only friends in the world is going to this party and has invited her. Of course, she can't go. Not really too sure why she'd want to go anyways, because half the kids that bullied her are going to be there. But anyways, she's at home. This masked assailant shows up at her house, starts harassing her and killing off other people. Could it be her father? I don't know. I guess you'll have to check out the film for yourself and find out. But that is the synopsis of the film. Now, my thoughts on this one. First off, I actually was really digging this film, man. I'm a big fan of when you have like this type of structure to a film. I think it was, it had a lot of really good ideas. The film starts out with this total comic book type intro, and it has like this total pretty cool first sequence in the film where these people are getting all killed off and stuff, and then ultimately you find out that it's her drawing this. Now, that's where the parallel storylines come into play, where you have these 2 different worlds. You have her reality where she's at home babysitting her brother and things like that, and then you also have this parallel universe of comic book story that's happening at the same time, and the story kind of flip-flops in a parallel form throughout the story. I really do like that structure. I think that's kind of interesting. It's daring a little bit. It's kind of hard to pull off, but I think that they tried to pull it off in this one as best as they could. The thing is, with the comic book story, it's very atmospheric, very well shot. There's a lot of really good cinematography in it, and I like the way they did it too, because in her real life story, it's a totally different atmosphere, different tone, everything. So they did separate the worlds quite well in the film. Other things I liked in the film was the music. It was very ominous. I think they didn't have an overpowering score to this. I thought it was very well executed. The acting, for the most part, I think is pretty decent to average. Some of it falters in parts in the film, which is kind of, you kind of expect that in these low-budget slasher films. But, yeah, it is what it is. As for the kills in the film, pretty good, man. Not too bad. Body count, not that low. It's not that high. It's kind of medium, level body count. Blood looks great. There is a couple standout kills in this one. Not all of them. I do like how the killer is very old school. It's very kind of a throwback to 80s slasher films, using knives and axes. Pretty bloody in certain parts, things like that. And the best thing about the kills, all practical. All practical, no CGI, which is fantastic. That's really what you're looking for in today's slasher films, because how many slasher films are ruined by bad CG kills? Not this one. Yeah, like I said, the blood looks really great. Very atmospheric kills and things like that. And the killer looks cool, man. He looks vicious. I like the mask. You can see him in the background right there. It kind of looks like a Phantom of the Opera type deal right there. Yeah, those are the things I think I liked about the film. Get into a few things I didn't like about the film. Now, going back to how I like the parallel structure of the two storylines. The problem is with this film is simply the writing. You pretty much know what's going to happen in the first 15 minutes of this film. It's the predictability of this film is just outrageous. It's so predictable that it even keeps you guessing as a viewer, like they've got to be pulling off something at the end of this, because this is so predictable that this can't be this predictable, So you're questioning yourself through the whole film, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, I don't know, but it is so predictable. Big flaw in the film. There's a subplot in this one involving Emily's character, and obviously a kid, like a high school student that she grew up with, who has a crush on her. He's basically in the film, he has this thing going on with her bully, and this whole subplot, it felt forced. I mean, there is a point to it a little bit in the film, but I think that they could have wrote something a little better in there. It just didn't feel natural at all. It just felt so kind of forced and just very lame, if I might add. But it just felt like it was there just to add body count and things like that, like a lot of these slashers do, but it felt very forced and unnatural. Really did not care for it whatsoever. But those are two really big flaws to the film. I mean, there is a couple minor plot holes too, involving her book, and the simple fact of why this film is called Suspension. She never actually does get suspended. It even says on the back of the film that she gets suspended. She never gets suspended in this film. I really don't understand what that's all about. So, yeah, man, I don't know, man. This one has a lot of good, and it has some major bad. But ultimately, my final thoughts on the film, it's a fun watch. It really is. It's a fun watch. The pacing is a little hit and miss at times. I mean, you're going back and forth. If you're not paying attention, you might get a little flustered and a little, kind of fucked up a little bit. But I don't really think so, because, like I said, the way that, her real world looks and the comic book world looks, it's two totally different things. So you should be able to follow pretty easy. It's not really that hard, but, ultimately, very fun film. It's definitely a throwback to 80s splatter flicks, done to the best of ability that they could with the budget and stuff. But I think it looks great. It sounds good. The kills were enough to keep me interested in this one. And, but the biggest flaw though, man, I can't get over is the predictability of this film is just, wow. It's really crazy. I was really hoping that they were going to pull a fast one on me and be like, oh, no, you got me there. Not really, man. Not really. But yeah, I don't know, man. Not a bad film. This is a really tough one to rate, because I could see a lot of people not really caring for this type of film. But if you take it for what it is, and just take it for a fun watch, and you kind of disregard all those major flaws, and you look at the good in this one, I'm probably going to give this one about a 6 out of 10. It's not the worst film in the world. I'm definitely going to give this a pass. I think some people really enjoy this one if you can just kind of separate yourself from, those major flaws. But yeah, Suspension, give this one a shot. Yeah, it comes out April 26th, which I believe is tomorrow. I don't know. I think this is Monday night. This might be posted on April 22nd or 26th also. So be on the lookout for that. But anyways, yeah. So that's going to do it, man. 6 out of 10. Check it out at your own risk. I think it was okay. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for episode 49. I think this review has gone on way too long. I think I'm over 10 minutes. So check you guys in episode 50. Peace out, homies. Super Slasher Extreme, Examiner.com. Okay. This film did my little black heart good, whorenews.net. Okay. Psychologically ripe and red all over. Ain't it cool news? That's a little bit of a spoiler. Come on. Cut.